What was the first concert that you went to?
First concert that I went to was Guns N' Roses. It was third grade. Um, my dad had one rule. It was that if no matter how late the show went, I had to go to school the next day because obviously it was on a weekday because concerts don't necessarily fall on
That must have been
Saturdays.
like a universal parent role because the first concert I went to with friends, I had that same rule. It was like New Kids on the Block in Seattle, and my parents had that same rule for me. We drove all the way to Seattle with a friend's parents and went to the show and came back that night, and I still had to go to school the next day. I think I was in the fifth grade.
It's
I
it's
was exhausted,
yeah,
but I went
it's so
the whole day.
painful. Yeah, Guns N' Roses in typical Guns N' Roses fashion, they were like, midnight hopping on the stage. I'll get home around 3 o'clock, and sure enough, I was sitting in Miss Stewart's class the next day. I might have been a little sleepy, but if I hadn't, then at least my dad had convinced me that I wasn't going to go to another concert.
Well, yeah, and it was worth it. Those first concerts especially, and that's kind of what we learned today from our guest, Matthew Mayfield. He brings us back to his first concerts and experiences and what helped shape him and his memories. So stick around. It's going to be a wild ride. This is Courtney Dawn,
I'm Chris Margolin.
and this is Cassingles.
So,
Oh, there we go.
there we
There
go.
we go. We
Nice.
gotcha.
Okay.
Welcome.
Well,
Dude.
apparently headphones are not welcome. It's been a minute since I've done this.
No
It's
worries.
all right.
Is
Us
it,
too.
is
Like
it,
we did.
does it sound okay? Can you?
Sounds perfect.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
sound
you
great.
sound perfect.
Okay.
So.
Well, I don't need these then.
Yeah. No, we did one of these for a few years, like 2020, 2023, and then we built a studio over the summer, and it's like having to relearn every little thing about what works and what doesn't. So,
Oh, totally.
So
Well,
we'll learn together.
thank y'all for having me.
oh,
Oh,
absolutely.
thank you so much.
I
Fun.
And
love your
I
shirt, by the way.
I I figured I wore this one specially for you. I figured you would enjoy that one.
I did. Well, hey, come on now.
There you
I love
go.
it. I love it.
Now we know I know how much Guns N' Roses mean to you and how much Slash means to you. So I was excited to have my dad find that picture today. It was pretty cool that
Yeah.
he was able to track that down.
Yeah,
Um,
that was you said it was Snake Pit era as
yeah,
well.
that was the first Snake Pit tour at the Roseland in Portland, and we ended up backstage because when Slash took the stage, my dad and I there was no like barrier or anything. We were just on the lip of the stage, and as soon as he came out, the crowd just and I was 11 years old, and as soon as the crowd came out, we literally got crushed. I mean, I broke a rib. And Slash and his bodyguard grabbed each of us and pulled us onto the stage. And so we just watched it from the side of the stage and then went backstage with them.
Dude, that's about as rock and roll as it gets,
It
man.
was
Come on
amazing. And
now.
well, and Slash was the nicest guy because he was about to take a picture with us and he realized he wasn't wearing his hat. And he told us to wait a second. And he went and grabbed his hat from a different room. It's just so we could take the picture with him. It was for 11-year-old me, I think my dad had a way of getting us backstage to a lot of shows.
Yeah,
He likes to say he could do it until I lost all my kid ability. Um,
sure,
and
sure.
so there was always
I
a
know
always a
I know
way.
the feeling. I know the feeling for sure.
So
And that was probably the most like starstruck I've ever been.
oh
I've met him, three, four, maybe five other times in my adult life, but as a
yeah,
kid, I mean, that was like meeting Spider-Man,
yeah.
like
Oh man.
you didn't think he was a real person. Like
Oh
I remember he came off the bus and I was with my sweet little mother, just, a buck tan soaking wet, this tall. And she took me to the show at this biker bar and they were doing like, I think it was like 1600 cap or something. It's not open anymore.
yeah.
But yeah, he came off the bus and he walked towards the crowd, just the meet and greet. And dude, I mean, yeah, you'd have thought Wolverine was walking at you. Like
Ah,
he had the hat on, he had it was 95, so he had no shirt
yep.
underneath, the leather jacket, the pants, the whole bit. And I mean, I didn't know I couldn't talk. Like I couldn't speak. My sweet mother was the one that was rattling off deep cuts when we got to them,
Jeez.
like, hey, Slash, I'm Tara Mayfield. Nice to see you, Southern lady.
Oh, I love that.
That's
I
amazing.
love your solo on Sweet Child, and I love it on You Could Be Mine. And, I mean, it was just like, I'm just looking at him like, oh my God, dude.
Yeah,
This is like
that's
my guy. This is my hero.
I love that.
that's
So,
amazing.
I love
yeah,
that.
I'm
How
glad
did
you had a
that,
similar experience.
Well,
obviously that stayed with you.
Yeah.
How did that kind of carry with you as a kid into like you with music and your own
Oh,
musical experience?
he's honestly the reason I picked up a guitar, at 9 years old, I think, 8 or 9 years old. The final tragic solo in November Rain,
oh yeah.
the C minor,
Mm,
when it goes dark and she's in the coffin.
yeah.
And he's on top of the piano with Axel playing it. I was like, whatever that is, I
Ah,
have to do that. Whatever it is, I have to do it. And here
So
I am at 43, and I'm still trying to do that.
I love that, that spark that just kind of lives within us and then carries
Yeah.
through.
well, and at 9 years
Yeah.
old, I mean that kind of puts us at really, early elementary school. So 9 years old, you're the kid rocking out to Guns N' Roses. What are your friends listening to?
Um, Not Guns N' Roses, I'll tell you that. I'm very grateful for my folks because they were very supportive. But I remember getting those Illusions records, which, like I said, one of them's tattooed
Yep.
on my arm, and I remember my mother wrote me a note for Christmas. It was under the Christmas tree, and it was Use Your Illusion 2,
Oh.
because I had the cassette. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
One, and she got me the CD, which was a huge, oh
Yeah.
my,
Oh, we're all the same age, so this is yeah,
yeah,
that
you
CD
get
coming
it,
out then was epic.
yeah, and it said, Matthew, I love you, and I know you love rock and roll, but please don't listen to songs 2, 7, 4, 14. I mean, it was like most of the record was like, and don't listen to these songs. And
I
of
love your
course,
mother.
they're the
That's the
first.
first one you listen to.
Of course, yeah, yeah. She was just being sweet,
That's like
and
a roadmap to the best songs.
we've talked about it many, many times since. So,
That's amazing. So I mean, I'll assume did now with your mom listening to that, what did your dad also was he also into like that 80s sound?
well, I'll put it this way: he wasn't into taking me to that show. I wouldn't have gone if it hadn't been for my mother.
That's amazing.
We were the only two people not wearing leather in the whole room. I was wearing a baggy t-shirt, and she was wearing like sweatpants or something. And everybody was, we didn't know what we were getting into.
No.
She knew, like, your hero is coming to town. You gotta go see him,
Well, yeah,
you
she's
know?
taking her baby. Like
That's
she
Yeah,
saw that spark in you
we've
and she was gonna feed it.
we've got a 15-year-old and I remember like the first couple concerts I took her to when she was, 11, 12 years old and was like, watching her like sing along. I think the first show we went to was Girl in Red and watching her sing along to every word and jump around and just be so in love with being in a venue that we had been in a million times as a kid. And she's just
sure.
rocking out to this band in front of her the same way we did. It's a transcendental experience.
Yeah,
I
it's been
love that.
magical, especially
Yeah. And how
with
old is she?
She's
she's
15
15.
now.
15.
So,
Okay.
And he's been taking her for a while during parts of my injury where I couldn't, be like I couldn't be out in anything really loud or a lot of music or sensory overload. They
Yeah.
really bonded
it was so
over
much fun.
music, and it was just awesome to see their relationship
And I definitely
through
don't like
music.
everything she listens to, but like I think that's the fun of it being a parent sometimes is like being a non-judgmental parent sometimes is you just
Sure,
gotta take
yeah.
the kid to
You gotta let them love what they love.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Uh,
you feed
my
it.
nieces and nephew, they love, I mean, all kinds of stuff that I don't even, I mean, I'm like, you really like this?
Yeah,
But I
I've never
also
even
am
heard of
like,
it.
that's awesome, like
Yeah.
you encourage it as much as you
Well,
can.
and it was the same thing that our parents said to us about certain things. Like I was a little kid listening to, my parents were very much into sounds like the same music your mom was into, and but then I would grab like an Eazy-E tape,
Yeah,
or and there would be like, why are we listening to this? And it wasn't a like, it wasn't a you shouldn't listen to this, but it's like I don't get it. I don't really want to get it. If you're gonna
yeah.
listen to that, you're gonna listen to that with headphones on.
Yeah, yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's like, yeah, the NWA stuff wasn't particularly pleasant for a suburban world or whatever it was, but I
No, it
mean,
was
they were
not.
brilliant. They were brilliant. I'll give
I got
them.
a lot of listen to that in your room. I think Hole was
Yeah.
the only CD my mom ran over with the car in high
Yeah.
school.
Which one?
Hole,
Live through this.
yeah.
First
Oh,
whole album.
okay, yeah,
But
yeah,
there was a lot of like pointed playing it at the top of like the stereo capacity.
Screaming matches with mom. Here you go,
Yeah, it
mom.
was kind of like
sure.
I'm playing this at you, not
Well,
necessarily
yeah,
for
it's
me.
like your rebellion.
My
And I
14-year-old
mean,
self.
that's the nature of all of
Yeah.
it. I remember all of that 90s rock and roll. I mean, that was like, for all of us, that was
Yeah.
like the thing. And that's what, we grew up with, but at the same time, it takes you back to the 80s and the 70s and the 60s. And I mean, at the end of the day, Nirvana is, they're the Beatles with a distortion
Yeah.
pedal. You know?
Absolutely.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
think that's one of the
Uh,
reasons I loved him so much. I grew up with like my dad always playing the Beatles and listening to vinyl with him. And
yeah.
then I cycled back into kind of those different storytelling elements through grunge and all of that. And then I got older and cycled through it in a different version in my
Was
adult life.
was your household,
Yeah.
so my dad is still very, we'll call it particular about his things. And while he had an insane vinyl collection, if I had ever touched one of those albums, I would have lost my world. Uh, did you have the same, or were you kind of like open access to whatever was there?
It was pretty open access. My dad was and he wouldn't tell you this, but that's just who he is. He's a hell of a player and a hell of a singer. He taught me my first, few chords, and he used to sing Blackbird and Old Man Neil Young and
Mine
uh
did too.
really?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
awesome.
love James Taylor and stuff too. Like I grew up listening to him play the guitar and sing.
My dad was a drummer. I wouldn't have wanted the drums in my bedroom at night for bedroom songs. That would have been weird.
Yeah. Well, I started on electric guitar, so it was kind of a weird hodgepodge because I loved the folk rock thing because of my dad. And then I also had like, the Black Cat Cassingle
There you go.
uh, that was white and, by Janet Jackson with a
Yep.
killer guitar riff and,
Yeah.
and just all that stuff was like just running through my little brain, and I couldn't get enough of it, like I was obsessed from an early age, and here
Well,
I am all
and
the way down, and I'm still obsessed.
with that obsession at an early age, I mean, if we get to to kind of the heart of the lessons that kind of were taught, when you're listening to that music and you're sitting in school with kids who are not listening to that music, and teachers who might not be listening to that music, who are you in your earliest years as a student, and did school fit with you at all?
No, it didn't. I was a pretty poor student. And I to this day I still don't know how to read music.
Oh,
Know I don't know. I couldn't tell you what a treble clef looks like or anything. I can fake it,
hmm
like when, somebody at a Christmas thing makes me play piano or something. I flip the page like I know what I'm doing, but I'm just playing by ear. So I've never learned how to read music or anything. It's just always been something that just came naturally, but a lot of hard work, that's the thing that I noticed the most that's changed is that the work of an analog instrument, has
Hmm.
it's kind of people, and I won't name names, but there's people that I've worked with before that have said, hey, like, you know, they'll do one take and then they'll be like, just tune it and we're going to lunch. And it's like, no, dude,
No.
like, no, like, I want to believe you. Like, I need
Yeah.
to believe and be convicted by your passionate and convicted performance, you know?
Yeah.
And if I don't believe you and I don't buy it, then no one else is gonna care. And granted, that's old school. I get it. I mean, I am old school.
Yeah.
But there is something to that beautiful moment where somebody grabs that perfect take where,
Hmm.
especially on a vocal, where you're like, dude, you could have gone to launch, or you are selling millions of
Yeah.
records, streaming these days, millions of records, because you made me believe it, you
Yeah.
Well,
know?
yeah, we saw your heart and your soul in that moment. And I think that's where like the real craft and beauty of artistry comes through. Like that's where
Yeah,
we see you. That's why we love the artists we love is those moments. I know when Chris records, we build this little studio in our garage and I mean, it's nothing fancy.
It's a very garage 90s studio.
Very much.
well, but same here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when he records, I mean, I'm his fancy
You get to be
producer,
my producer for vocals, so
but I make him go over and over and over and over and over again because there's just that one magic moment when it clicks and you feel it. Everything is full and I can see my husband in that music. Like he translates and
Yeah,
it's not the first time. I mean, once in a great while it's the first time, but not I mean, it's like a one in a million. And I see his heart come through in that moment. And there's
sure.
times when he's like, no, it's good enough. And I'm like, this fuck it is. It's not good enough. Keep going. Come on. I know you. Like, you've got it in
Yeah,
you. And sometimes it just takes something to pull it out. And there's auto tune, like we all know, but it's
right.
not the same. And you can feel it, you can hear it.
yeah.
It's just
Sure.
not the
You need
same.
to, sometimes you just need a push, you
Hmm.
know, like you just need somebody to go like, hey, that was good, but you got a better one in you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we
And
did
and and I can and I think that even sometimes the ones where my voice is worn out, or when your voice is worn out, or
Hmm.
best take.
you're weak and you feel vulnerable, there's something in that. Like some of the best takes I've ever had have been, I was sick, I had
Every
a,
time he records.
And
yeah,
I
yeah,
bet, yeah, yeah.
Well,
It's
it's we see the struggle in that, right? Like we see how hard you had to pull. You had to dig deep and then still come through the other side. And so much in music is, well, so much in art, I think in general is about that, right? Like that
yeah.
struggle is real. And I don't
The
know,
vulnerability in it is everything.
yeah. Well,
yeah.
I think when I think back to, I discovered your music in the same time as I discovered David Ramirez, and it was like for me, it was a really important moment because I was
Right.
really stuck and I was looking for. I remember talking to my guitar player at the time and saying we just need to find some like authenticity because
Sure.
like everything was just the same crap over and over again. And so we went looking for songwriters because
Yeah.
it was like, where do we find the actual narrative? Where's the story structure? Where's the real, hard work of people? And I think, stumbling on your music and David Ramirez, like you two kind of became like a little bit of a North Star at that time of, all right, I think we even when I was in a band called Frame by Frame, I think we sent you our first EP for a review at the time. And this is like
Oh yeah,
15,
yeah,
this is
yeah.
like, kidding me, it's almost 20 years ago.
Oh my
And
God.
like so there was a real connection in the honesty in the songwriting. And it was kind of the first, there was a just a group of songwriters at that time that it was kind of like you could trust. Um,
Sure.
you know,
Sure.
for
Well, I'm honored to be mentioned with David because I obviously he's one of my best friends, but he's I mean he's on another he's
The
unbelievable. He's just one of the best uh narrators, but also he's just always got a there's something about David that's very like unique to him in terms of I know so many writers and so many I know a bunch of people that are, big famous folks and then people that are doing rock clubs and I think he's probably somewhere in the middle of that right now, but he's never wanted to be a rock star, and I love that
yeah,
because he that's what gets people because it's so sincere. There's nothing plastic about it. He's as honestly, I mean, having made, records with them and,
yeah,
and work with them in his studio and, played a bunch of shows together. I mean, uh, he's, yeah,
yeah,
I'm a huge fan and I'm never afraid to be, and I don't want anybody to ever be afraid to be a fan of their friends. A lot of times you see artists that kind of, shy away from that. But if you like somebody's music and you just so happen to be friends with them, it's okay,
yeah.
Yeah, I love
like,
that. Uplift each other.
Well,
yeah,
and
like people are in Nashville and Austin and LA. Some people are just like, it's competitive. And I'm like, dude, look, we're too old for that. Can I
Yeah,
curse
you
here?
yeah,
absolutely can.
curse it up.
Okay. Well, I was just gonna say, like, we're too old for that shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Like
there's room
that's
enough for all of us.
yeah, there's plenty of room. And look, I've had friends that have won Grammys, and I've watched them escalate to these, and I'm like, dude, I couldn't be happier for
right.
you. I don't understand why anybody would ever say, like, why isn't that me? Because I'd be a real shitty celebrity and
Yeah,
I'd be a real bad rock star.
yeah,
I
So
probably wouldn't be the
I
best one
don't,
either.
I don't care about that anymore. When I was a kid, of course, you want to be, a rock and roll star in the
yeah,
proper sense. But, I mean, I'm happy if there's, 500 people at a show. I mean, I'm
yeah.
lucky to be able to do that.
Well,
So,
and for you, I mean, when did you realize that music was just your thing, and so everything you were learning in school was school, but then you had your North Star of I'm going to get to this music. So when does that switch happen for you? When do you become kid playing guitar to kid knowing this is what I'm doing for a living?
I mean, dude, it was early. I mean, I think I started my first band when I was 11, and we were not great. But we were, growing pains.
You were
And
doing it.
we put our
All
first,
recordings can be found on SoundCloud.
dude, I'm so glad that they're not, but if they are, it would really make me laugh. But I wrote all the songs, but I didn't sing at
Mm.
all. And my brother was in the band, so it was kind
Oh,
of like a Noel Liam thing. He was the singer and he wrote a lot of the lyrics, but I wrote all the melodies and the arrangements and whatever. And we started selling CDs in the junior high, when they used to come in jewel cases,
yeah, oh yeah.
30 a piece.
And he
We
had
would
to put
sell
them
them.
together with a perforator and a pizza cutter and fold. Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Mhm,
dude.
yep.
That
We
was
would
work.
sell those in the middle school hallway,
I love
That's
it.
I
awesome.
was in sixth or seventh grade. He was in eighth or ninth grade. And um obviously those are formative years.
Yeah.
But I knew out of the gate, the first time that I picked up and I started, like I said, on electric guitar.
Yeah.
So I plugged in the minute I
There's a
heard
big there's a big difference. Like
Yeah, a
you can
lot, most of the
strumming an
stuff,
acoustic guitar is really nice, but the minute you hit the chord on an electric guitar, that distortion or that feedback comes out, that's it.
totally, totally. Yeah, that was the moment where it was like, yeah, the minute I heard just an open, D5 or whatever, just E chord, whatever, and through an electric guitar amp that was probably, $40 used,
Yep.
through a fake Les Paul that was probably, $150. I just was obsessed completely, and I still am. I have a lot more guitars, but I think I was a better guitar player than I am now.
Was there
Focus
anyone
a lot more on writing.
Yeah.
was there anyone you can think of that really kind of helped mentor you on your way
It like personally or
personally
oh
or
yeah.
with music?
Um, well, I had a couple of friends that kind of showed me some ropes. But honestly, the number one would be my father. He really he didn't know that I was listening because I
Hmm.
had bunk beds with my brother when we were little kids, and he had really thin walls between their room and our room. And I could hear him playing and singing these, yeah, Blackbird, Old Man, um, Melissa by the Allman Brothers.
Mm. My
Mm.
favorite.
Oh, I mean, countless songs. And I remember feeling, like
Uh-huh.
I didn't understand the lyric. I could just hear the melody,
Mm.
but the melody would make me cry. And I'm not being emo when I
Yeah.
say that.
No,
Like
I understand
No,
exactly what
I
you
I
would
mean.
be a
understand that.
little boy and my brother's up there snoring on the top bunk, and I'm in the, bottom bunk, like boo-hooing, and I don't know what he's singing about.
Yeah.
I just, the feeling of the melody and the chord structures, and, I didn't know anything about music
Right.
other than that. And that really that got me and put the hook in me and, made me a songwriter. I really think
Was
that's true.
did he was he playing was his playing more in secret then, or was he somebody who was open about playing in front of you as well?
Uh, Well, I think maybe to make us shut up a little bit occasionally, rambunctious young boy. He's 2 years older than me, and then we had a baby sister who's 7 years younger than me and 9 years younger than him. And, we fought a lot and, just as brothers do. But I will say this, like, all of, well, hold on. I'll show you something. This is his 1976
Oh,
Martin D28.
Yes, it is.
oh, it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
that my mother gave him when they got married in 76.
Ah,
Oh,
And
that's
you can
lovely.
probably see, but all of these scars that are on
oh
it
yeah.
are from me and my brother knocking it over. And, I mean, this is a proper, it's never been set up, but I've written probably 200 plus songs
Yeah.
on guitar. And when he gave it to me, I was like, Dad, like you need, no, like no way. He was like, Matthew, I don't do this anymore. So for the next year, I got him a guitar for Father's Day. So
Ah.
Oh,
he was like, you didn't need to do that, but that guitar is yours. So I plan on keeping this one in the family for, I don't have any kids, but anybody that, you know,
I
if I
mean,
ever
I've
do,
seen pictures of you and your niece at a piano.
yeah, yeah. If Lillian wants it, she can have it. I got no business
oh,
with it.
that's
So
the sweetest story. Thank you so much for sharing
That's
that.
amazing. It really is
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's really cool. Like I know like so my dad was a drummer, but by the time I was a kid, my dad had long put away the drum set. So I never really got to see that side. Like my dad lived very much vicariously through me growing up. But like
Oh, he's an
Courtney's dad's
amazing.
one of the best guitar players. I mean, he sounds like James Taylor.
He really does. It's just,
Oh, it's awesome.
oh, he has the most beautiful voice too, but he only ever plays at our house. Occasionally
Yeah,
you can get him to play like,
a party
well, for like
for a
somebody's
song at a party.
birthday, like happy birthday or something. I mean, just something silly. And it's like having
sure.
a concert by just an amazing musician. And I mean, he just can play anything. But when I was a kid, his guitar would come with him and he just kind of noodles around with it. But it's the
Yeah,
same thing where like I'd be in bed and my bedroom was the den in this old house. Excuse me. It was built in like the 20s, a farmhouse, and it was right off the living room. So he would sit in the living room at night and I would be able to hear through the door. And
yeah,
my part of my autism is like synesthesia. So when I experience music, I experience it on like a full sensory level. And to hear it like come through the door and my dad, I mean, it's just this beautiful, rich voice. And it's that same thing. I would just be like overwhelmed by emotion, have no idea why. And just like Blackbird was one of the songs, and there's a bunch of just these beautiful songs that just like they're soul fulfilling in a way that you can't quite articulate. And then when I would hear
yeah,
them growing up and as I got older, they just take me back to that like warm time of like summer nights and this like feeling of home and safety. And my dad, even when like we struggled with he's my stepdad. I don't know my real dad, but he fulfilled dad in every way possible. But we struggled when I was like a teenager. And so being able to like latch back onto those memories and have those warm times growing up and go
sure.
back to that music over and over again is like such a gift that your story just brings that back and seeing that guitar, it looks just like his. So it brings me so
Oh,
much joy. Thank you.
I love that. I love that. Well, hey, that makes me feel like I'm not the only person with that story. You know,
Yeah, I think that's the great thing
it's
with music.
absolutely. It's you don't see it coming, you know,
No.
but
Well, I think
but
it's funny, like,
it'll do something to you that you could never like truly get over, I guess,
yeah.
because
Well,
you
I
just
think our generation was such a cool generation for me, and I think I'm sure a lot of generations say this, but we had such a fun transitional period, for our generation to really go from hair metal to grunge to, big country to hip hop. Like there was so much music for us to like inundate ourselves with that it was a really good time for being able to understand that there were so many different things that fit with our nature.
absolutely. I think I mean, it's we're all biased, but I think, it's kind of like with basketball, like we came up in the golden age, the 80s and 90s
Yep.
um and I'm a huge, you know, 80s, 90s basketball
Oh
fan.
yeah.
But when it's understandable why everybody else is, especially we're considered old heads,
Uh-huh.
Right.
and that's the term, by the way, for all the kids watching. Uh, but it's just one of those things where you realize that like that music did something to it rattled our bones and our blood in a way that it may not rattle my nieces or nephews' bones,
Yeah.
but there's something about it that truly changed like the temperature in the room, like it
Yeah.
could, and that there's nothing like a song that can do that. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Like a song can do that, and to be able to create something. And I don't know if I've ever changed the temperature in anybody's room, but the when you see your lyrics, tattooed on somebody's arms at a
Yeah.
show, and they show you, it's like one, it's the highest honor, like
Yeah.
I'm speechless. But at the same time, all I have to do is
Yep.
show them all the lyrics I have tattooed on my arms,
Yeah. I mean,
and be
Uh-huh.
like, dude, I mean, I I know the feeling, you
yeah.
know?
It's yeah. Magic.
Yeah,
One of the reasons that Cassingles even started as a as an idea was because I've taught for this is my 23rd year teaching, and one of the things that I've realized more and more, especially since the pandemic era, is that we lost the kids.
Yeah,
And that corporatized education doesn't work. And so we worked really hard to kind of build a new curriculum where it could be about music. Like, why can't I teach the same stories I'm teaching, but add a musical component to that, where it might open up a little bit more of that sensory experience. Um,
sure.
and and it became a really cool thing for my students to grab because I brought in tapes and 8 tracks and records and CDs. So it became a real
That
tangible, yeah, it became a real fun, tangible thing for them. And so one of the cooler parts of this experience is that for all the artists that we're talking to, we get to kind of figure out what would that look like in the classroom setting.
sure.
So
So I sat down today, and what's cool for me is with my injury, I haven't gotten to listen to a whole lot of music. So I sit down with every artist's music. I've been living in kind of a Taylor Swift vacuum for the last 6 years. My poor family. Not that there's anything wrong with Taylor Swift. We love us Swifties. Don't come after us. I've literally been living with
it
you,
was
Taylor. We
wonderful.
love
It
you.
was wonderful brain injury
It was
recovery
just the
music.
only thing my brain could process for a while for some reason. But
Yeah,
like the brain injury side doesn't remember everything I knew before always. Um, and so it's like getting to live music all over again, which is really cool for me. So I got to sit down and just like live your music all day today, which was so much fun. And then while I do it,
oh,
I kind of use it as inspiration to what would I do with this in the classroom. And one of the songs that kind of really,
I'll grab the
oh,
dog at this point.
our tiny butterbear. Oh, you got my, I'm hooked.
There you go.
We're a disaster.
you're
Um,
good.
it was, oh, this is funny. I had my eyes dilated for cataract surgery today, so I can't even read my own book. This is what happens when you get old. Nobody get old.
I'm probably older than both of you, so I get
Oh
it.
no, you got we got you by a couple of years, not by many. Oh yeah, we were listening to Bell of the
Oh,
Ball.
there we go. I was listening to Bell the Ball. So
Oh, the ball, yeah, yeah.
it was such a beautiful song. And while I was listening to it, I just kind of started thinking about the idea of like disappointment and how we all have these kind of like tiny little beautiful scars that we live through, um, but make us kind of who we are. And they're things that not just students, but all of us kind of deal with every day. Um, and what could I do with that in the classroom? So kind of the purpose of the lesson would just be to kind of identify like what kind of tiny little disappointments we've all experienced, and then what lessons can we learn from them, and then have kids or whoever we're doing the lesson with illustrate it by doing. I did a little. I don't know if you can see our visual gets kind of
We'll send them
chunky.
to you
I'll
Oh,
send them
afterwards.
to
yeah,
you.
yeah.
But do
Thank
kind of
God you're analog as well.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I do
I've
every.
never typed a lyric in my life.
Oh, I love
I'm
that.
especially with my injury and stuff, I've got to figure out new ways to do everything. But handwriting everything feels just so much more authentic. And then I'm an artist, so I draw and doodle, which is
Oh,
so nice while I listen to your music because I just kind of doodled until inspiration struck. And so I would just kind of have them talk about like what kind of disappointments from not getting the right kind of like gumdrop or gumball from the machine, because that's just as valid of a disappointment sometimes, and sucks for me sometimes when I really wanted the red one and I got the stupid blue one. I hate blue things, like the red ones. Um, but
sure.
that can be heartbreaking just in a small way and add up over time, just as big as the big giant disappointments in life. But how do we work through those? And then turn that into just a short one sentence story. So like a couple of things I came up with were um the wrong the wrong shape of you. Um or uh in her TBI train wreck trophy wife era, what I'm currently living. Can I be golden too? Um so things that tell a story but are just one sentence and sum up what they have experienced, or and then they can elaborate on them later or just leave them there. And that's just kind of the little lesson that we came up with for what we do with your song in the classroom. But it would launch with playing your song with kids or whatever group of learners we're working with.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I
It's
mean, that's the whole I mean, it's an adventure, but it's also there's just the magic of it is something that's yeah, it is childlike, you know. It is it's childlike in the sense of there's a sense of wonderment about it. There's a not just a fascination, but there's a true like uh craftsmanship that you can't shake, you know? And I think from a young age, a lot of us do that, you know? Like, I mean, I don't know what this is. I truly don't. But um, I mean, you know, these are lyrics to new songs, you know. They're just literally sitting here. Uh I don't know what the melodies are at this
Yeah.
point, Um, but there's something fun about it, you know? And I lost that for a long time, you know, when I got signed to a major label and, you know, they were wanting hits and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, I mean, wasn't very long, but I just got jaded by it, you know? And I think now, and I mean, for the last, you know, what, 20 plus years, I just, I love being able to say like here's the lyric, you know, or to somebody I trust, you know, um what do you think about this verse, you know? And if they're like, dude, the first two lines are great, I think you can do better on three and four, then I'm like, well, thank you. And I can go back to the workshop, you know?
Yeah.
And there's something so fun about that. You know, I don't take criticism. I mean, when I work with Paul Moak or I work with, you know, friends of mine that produce or write or both, whatever. But when they say that, it doesn't ever make me sensitive. It makes me be like, well, if this person is telling me that that line you could do better, you
Yeah.
know? Like it helps you get a little more childlike where you're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
let's just get this let just don't be this grown up and like trying to be clever. Just sing it from the like just spit it out from your heart.
Play.
Yeah.
And 98% of the time, those are the ones that stick. You know, Bell of the Ball is a great example.
Well,
Um, yeah.
yeah, well, and we always like to kind of head toward the ending by asking you, and this is a perfect segue. When we look back at the songs that have kind of given us our life lessons, what do you think is a song that, out of your fairly extensive catalog of 25 years now, is there a song that you think teaches a life lesson that you would want, that younger generation to understand? Maybe something that you didn't understand that they could from your words.
Well, there's a bunch. But well, because as you know, there's a bunch that come from very or cut from very different angles, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of you know, my mother has always been like, "Are you gonna have any happy songs on this record?" You know, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, I know that one.
But I think the darker stuff can be more relatable. Some of it's too intense, and I know that. I'm very aware of that. Um, but I think that you know, if there's probably two, and that's so hard to choose, and I thought about it before, but
You can give us both. We'll take both.
Heart and Wire
Mm,
is a big one. Because it's the raw, it's you know, that song is so raw and live, and we did it. I played acoustic and sang it, and we picked a pass, and you know, the strings were added later, but that's it, you know. No click track, no
yeah.
production, you know what I mean? It was just like all the lights went out in the studio, and Moke was like, "Hey, just give me, just play it like you played it for me the first day you came in here."
Mm.
And that was beautiful. But it also, the lyrical part of it is there's something there that's special, ties to the melody very well, and I think it kind of rides that wave where it's, this ain't right, this ain't right, this ain't right, and then you jump the octave,
Hmm.
and the urgency starts to happen, you know? And to me, when you're confused about not only a, a, a romantic relationship, but a uh like the way that your heart is trying to wrap itself around what's going on, um, you immediately retreat to music, you
Yeah.
know. That one is a standout for me. I've never played a show and not played it.
Mm. And I will say one of the best videos that I've ever seen of you is the Heart and Wire video of you in the studio with the hanging mic and just
Yeah. Oh, thanks,
I
man.
mean, that is
Thank you.
truly one of those like authentic moments that's just wholly who you are in that moment.
Yeah, yeah, that one. And I wrote a song with my friend John Paul White, who he's a great artist from Muscle Shoals, Alabama.
Right.
And we wrote this song called Fire Escape. And it's another, it's not necessarily the happiest tune in the world, but it's honest and it's real. And he helped me bring it to life, because I had the chorus. I knew what I wanted to say. I just didn't know, I was in it, like I was
Yeah.
literally living that song, you know. The experience was happening to me. I'm on a fire escape where he said to wait, and I did, and I did. But you know, it's there's nothing to wait on, you're
Right.
gone. And he latched onto that and was like, dude, let's write that. And I said, well, I got a bunch of it. And he was like, you've got the chorus, but let's figure out where you are and how you got two verses, to
Yeah.
say exactly what you need to say. And we did it at Fame in Muscle Shoals, the demo. And so it was really important to me to be very careful with that one
Hmm.
because I didn't want it to feel forced and I didn't want it to feel bitter. I wanted it to feel heartbroken. I wanted it to feel just like this,
Well,
like
the
like
lyrics, I mean, yeah, when you just see you bite your bottom lip, I feel those kisses on your hip. I mean, that it's one of the first songs of yours I heard. And so like I can, I get goosebumps thinking about that song because it's like it is one of the most brutally open and honest songs I mean I've ever heard. And
thank
and
you.
it's there's such a yearning and a longing for that person to just show the up and they just
Sure.
don't.
Yeah,
And
dude. I mean, I struggle every time I play both of those songs. I struggle, and there's another song called Razor Blade that I struggle with, and people that have been to shows will tell you, like, there'll be moments in those songs where I have to back off the mic because I start crying.
mm,
You know? And but I think that's the sincerity, authenticity of those the special, the ones that
Yeah.
are as close as you can get to you. And
yeah.
Yeah.
you can play 27 songs in a set, and there's three or four that you have to back off the mic for. And literally, like, there's been times where I've like started crying so hard that the crowd notices and the band, everybody knows, and
Yeah.
I'm trying my best to like get it together. And the cool part about it is, the people in the crowd they cheer you on, you
Yeah,
know?
Yeah,
they're there for you.
they're riding with you.
And that's a
They
gift
do
you
that.
gave them.
And
That
it's like,
vulnerability is a gift you're giving your audience in that moment. Like,
yeah, you're not just phoning it in. Like
yeah.
it's hitting you the same way it did 15, 20 years ago, you know? And
Well, and it's going to hit your audience the same way. Like, it is going to hit them just as hard.
yeah, yeah.
Because I know
Well,
that song hits
I
my
appreciate
husband every time he hears
Yeah.
it.
I won't say that it hasn't been in my own solo set for like the last 15 years.
Yeah.
So,
I've heard that
but
song.
Oh
it's
man,
definitely out there.
I appreciate that about both of you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
I wanted to say this earlier on, but my very first concert that I went to when I was in third grade, and it was Guns N' Roses on the Use Your Illusion tour. It was Guns N' Roses and Cheap Trick and Meatloaf were the two openers.
No
And
way.
it was my very first show. My dad's rules were, because it was on a Sunday night, and my dad's rules were, no matter how late it goes, you go to school the next morning or we don't go to other concerts. So in typical Guns N' Roses
Love it.
fashion, they hit the stage at like midnight.
Of
And
course.
so, get off the stage at 3 in the morning,
Yeah.
get home, get up the next day, and I was sure sitting in my desk at school because I was going to go to another concert. There was no way around that. But those
Yeah.
were like, I mean, those 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 early shows, being able to be like, yeah, I saw real Guns N' Roses in the early days when they were
Yeah.
still fucking around and not showing up to their own shows on time and doing whatever they needed to in the background. Like, but those formative concerts were incredible. Like my dad tried to take me to as many as he possibly could. I mean, what were those early shows for you?
Oh man, a bunch, but I wish I'd gotten to see Guns. I've seen him a bunch on the new tour,
Right.
4 or 5 times, but and it's just Axl Slash and Duff, in terms of the original guys. But um, I mean, in terms of my first show ever was well, this is hilarious. I was 5 years old. My mom took me to see Richard Marx with Wilson Phillips
Ooh.
opening.
Oh, love it.
See, that
Hold
would have been
on.
great for me. I Richard Marx was fun.
Gonna take you back to the yeah, Carney
We're
and
gonna make you cry,
uh,
don't you know?
yeah,
I
great.
know the whole song.
But so I saw them and I got the bug, pretty quick because the guitar player for Richard Marx was playing a flying V.
Oh, there you go.
And that was
That just
like
looks cool as hell. Yep.
5-year-old, you're like, dude, what is happening? This is
That's
amazing.
cool.
Yeah, whatever that is. And I've never owned one, but they're cool as
Because
shit.
they're terrible to play. They're so uncomfortable. You can't wrap
Dude,
your arm around that crap. Like, where are you gonna put anything?
dude, yeah, you gotta be real prepared for flying V. And then, but I mean, honestly, the most impactful show that I ever saw was 1998. Pearl Jam played Birmingham for the first time in their career during the Yield record.
Mm, yep.
And I've been to a lot of shows, and I'm sure, and y'all have too, everybody has, but I have never heard an arena
Mm,
louder than when they walked out because they came out like the Who used to, that's
yeah.
Eddie's favorite band.
Yep.
And they came out with just no production, just a big screen, but it had nothing on it. It was just lights, whitewashing the band and backlighting the band. So you'd see each guy come out and you knew who they were,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but Eddie would come out last. I swear and he waited, and he's very, very smart in that way. He waited because he could tell people were like, oh my God, like
Yeah.
this band's never been here ever. And people were, it was the loudest sound I've ever heard in my life. Like, and then he walked out
Mm,
and it's just a silhouette, like backlit. And the whole place, I mean, everybody stood up, it was just screaming. And I'm one of them, I
yeah.
was probably 98. I was probably, I don't want to date myself too much, but I was in middle school or high school. I
Yeah.
don't, but that sound sticks with me and that show sticks with me so much because when you open with like multiple deep cuts and you you come out with Release, which is the
Hmm.
last song on their first record, and you know that that is such a I call them the jam band of rock and roll band.
Oh yeah, they're absolutely our
Never play the
generation's
same
Grateful Dead.
set.
Yeah.
Yeah, they never play the same set
Yeah.
list. They mix it up all the
Yeah.
time. And that's why people keep coming to the shows. And that's what made me fall in love with that band because I honestly, and this is sacrilege, but 10 is my least favorite Pearl Jam record.
So Yield is my favorite Pearl Jam album. So
And Yield is my favorite Pearl Jam.
Smile is my
God,
favorite Pearl Jam
somebody
song.
agrees.
Yeah, I think Smile is one of the best, most sarcastic songs ever written, and it's brilliant. No, Yield was definitely an album. I was standing outside Music Millennium at, midnight on a Tuesday,
Yeah.
waiting for the album to come out.
Yeah, dude. I bought Vitology at the midnight sale. Yeah.
Yes. I still have my original
Magic Platter was the
my
name.
dad has it, but I have my original Vitalogy album still sealed up because I knew there was gonna be something, so we bought two of them because that
There
thing
you
was
go.
so cool to open up, like all the medical records that came with that, and just it was great. It was a cool opening album.
Oh man,
What was the
that's the magic.
what was the first album you like? My first CDs that I bought were a John Cicada self-titled and Mariah Carey Unplugged were the first two CDs I bought. What'd you
Oh
end up with?
wow. Dude, you got me beat. The first ones that I purchased with my own money from mowing the lawn was Use Your Illusion 1,
Okay.
that guy. And let me see. Oh, I did buy 10 in New Orleans at Tower Records.
Okay. Very cool.
I was there with my folks and my brother for some sort of, I think he was playing basketball there or something, but I went into Tower Records and I bought it. And don't get me wrong, it's a great record,
Yeah.
but it's my least favorite Pearl Jam record, and everybody hates me for saying that, but
Oh, I do
I
not.
think the
It's a brilliant
songs
album.
are awesome. The songs are great,
Yeah.
but Eddie hadn't found his voice yet.
Oh,
You know,
it wasn't his album yet.
it wasn't his band yet.
Yeah.
You know, it was
It
still
was Mother Love Bone trying to figure out what they were going to do next.
it was Stone and Jeff's
Yeah.
band. You know, and everybody will tell you when Versus came around that's when they knew. They
Yeah.
were like, "Oh, this is his band." And he treats it like a democracy, but at
Hmm.
the same time, who's writing the set list?
Right. Yeah.
Who's like guiding the ship? And there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that, but I think that I love those live versions of those songs
Yeah.
because he sings them like himself now.
Hmm.
He was the guy that everybody was like, oh, the dude with the deep, you know,
That copy that voice.
people made fun of him for it.
Hell, I
But you
remember sitting at my
realize
parents. Yeah, I sat
how
at my parents'
great
table
how
singing
great it was, you know?
Hmm.
I mean,
I
and
love
then
that
when you
sound.
listen to him live on the bootlegs and or whatever wherever you want to listen,
it.
now it's like, oh, this is what you were trying to tell me.
Yeah.
I just couldn't hear it through the baritone like kind of macho thing.
Yep.
And then when you hear him on verses and you hear him Vitology, no code, yield, he's the dirt in his voice is real, you
Yeah.
know, and that goes the humanity of that is what I love about his vocal.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right. 'Cause by the time they finally get to like Bugs and he's talking
Yeah,
his way through a song and you really hear that voice. And as silly as it is,
yeah.
you
I
hear
got
him
bugs in my
speaking.
ears. Got bugs in my room. Yeah, deep cut, dude. You went
Yes.
too deep on that one. I love that. No one's ever referenced bugs in any conversation that I've ever had. except
Well,
for
you
you.
gotta hang out with us a little more often.
No,
Full
I think that
reference,
was the
but
song
no,
that
just
where
like
my dad and I were listening to that. I think that was the song that was like, I like this, where my dad was like, I like this band, but no, we're gonna turn this one
Yeah,
off.
that's a dude. That's a skipper. I'm a huge fan, but that's a skipper.
Crushing on the accordion. Come on, it's great.
Ah, dude. Satan's Bed, though, two
Oh,
songs
there you go.
later,
Yep.
the
Oh
only
yeah.
song they've ever done with a drum machine
Mm,
is yeah, Dave Abraziz didn't play drums on that. That was a drum machine.
that's fascinating. I
And
did not know
I
that.
love that song, dude. That's got some of the best lyrics when he says, ro- uh model, role model, roll some models in blood, get some flesh to stick so they look like us.
Mm.
The
oh,
play on words
Oh,
there is just so, I
that's
mean, yeah,
brilliant.
very 94, but like
yeah.
But that is
awesome
us. That's 90.
90s.
We are 94.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
but I mean, I remember hearing that and being like, wait, hold on, one more time, rewinding it constantly. So,
well, then I guess one question I do have for you then is because you've really lived in both the rock and kind of the more folk world when it comes to music. I mean, you've got Blue Cut Robbery, you've got your solo stuff, and then you've kind of got the EP stuff. So
yeah.
where's the difference for you? What do you, when you're writing a song, what do you know what you're writing it for?
Well, who knows? You may know better than I do. I don't know. But I just, you know, for me, like making that prize fighter record, the last one, it was I knew that I had a batch of songs that were a record, whereas when I did whatever, 5 or 6 EPs in a row once a month, you know, that was a thing, and
Yeah.
it wasn't really like a challenge. It was more of a like I thought that might be a good move to just keep putting music out
Yeah.
constantly. And but I also think that when now, in 2026, you know, when I see people constantly just releasing singles, I get it more
Hmm.
because if you can, let's say I do a blue cut, A side, B side, with
Right.
full on rock and roll, 2-inch tape, all live, bass, drums, guitar. That's it. And my vocal. That's it. And then we do Bell of the Ball, you know. Those are very different worlds, and they're
Yeah.
very polarizing. Like my fans tend to like one or the other, and I really appreciate you guys for liking both, or at
Yeah.
least pretending like you like both.
No,
Oh no, I
there's
like
a
both.
genuine, I mean,
I'm kidding.
that's the thing. Like when I listen to your stuff, like Man-Made Machines is still, we talk about my all-time favorite of
Oh,
yours. I mean, Man-Made Machine will always be number one. It's the
here.
first song. It's the
I
first song
love
of
that
yours.
song.
Well, yeah, it's the first song of yours I played for Courtney.
Uh-huh.
Like
I love that song.
I love each of your
Has a
styles.
special place in my
I mean,
heart.
obviously, I've been waiting for a new Blue Cut Robbery album for, well, since the last one came out. But
Me
like
too.
the, but like there is such a intense difference in your ability to pull people from a different angle. Like, when, Moses Mayfield obviously comes out of that late 90s sound, and
Yep.
it builds off of all the things we were just talking about. And then, when you get to, you get to the next versions of Element that come out,
Yeah.
and I think I think those three early recordings of it, the Moses Mayfield version, the one on your debut solo album, and then there's one on one of the EPs.
Yeah. The
And
fiery piece.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they are three different songs.
Sure.
And I
Absolutely.
think that's what is really cool about that, is that I agree that there are definitely people who tend toward one type of your music than the other type of your music. And I think that a lot of people get that. But the
Yeah.
reality is if they just listen, they do different things. Like that
Sure.
Moses Mayfield version of Element. I mean, that song kicks ass. But by the time you get to that super stripped down like EP version, there's such a wanting to understand more. And it's a deeper, it feels like a deeper narrative. And it's,
Sure.
there's more to it.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
that I appreciate you saying that because that was the goal. I mean, that was 2008 when we stripped it down. And that's the same vocal from the Moses
Oh,
version.
wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's essentially a remix because we
Cool.
kept the vocal and we just yeah, we put a cello and very stripped production, kept, I played another acoustic guitar on it or
Yeah.
something, but very Damien Rice-esque,
Oh yeah.
you
Oh,
know.
Damien Rice. There's a name that has gone away for a long time. That O album is still one of delicate.
I
It's one of
remember
oh,
referencing him for that mix, but also just because I didn't feel confident enough to sing a better vocal on it then. But um, to this day, and I wrote that song when I was 19,
oof,
19,
yeah.
which was a long time ago. And to this day, it's the only one from that era that I still play live
Do
because
you
people
think
ask for it
do
all the
you
time.
do you think going back to like because you were putting out music when you were in sixth grade, do you think that there was pre-19, do you think there was a better song that you forgot?
Um, Maybe, but I'm probably just, yeah, too old to remember
You
what.
remember it now.
Uh,
We'll call it a mistake or now I have a treasure trove,
Oh no, it's the best thing
but
I ever
I
heard.
I have all of my original lyric notebooks from like age 13 to like
oh yeah, dude.
25. And
I
I
do too.
also have the original, my first, because I started in a first band when I was 13, and I have all of the practice tapes. So like all the,
Oh,
like
come
just the
on.
old boombox sitting in the corner, press and play
Yeah.
record. So,
With
but
the little notebook. Oh, it's just
Yeah.
gold. I spent one night just reading it out loud. Called it Deep
Oh,
Thoughts
dude.
of the
oh,
Margolin.
and
Oh,
one
it
of
was
them has
brilliant.
like one of
God
one of the
bless you
notebooks has
both.
for every song I would write, my girlfriend at the time would write an angry letter about it on the next page.
It's the sweetest thing I've ever read in my
Oh,
whole life.
right.
Uh,
Yeah. Well, God bless both of you for that dynamic.
we
That's
always
when you
talk.
know you truly love each other, is when
Right?
somebody can read out loud your 13-year-old journal.
That's the sweetest
And
thing he let me do. He'd not even open it first. He was like, "No, you can read it." I was like, "You're
oh,
gonna let me read this out loud? It's like your deepest, like goopiest self,
right,
and you're gonna let me?" And he's like,
just
"Sure."
terrifying.
Isn't that horrifying? I was like, I probably
Oh,
burned every journal I ever had from that era. Like,
When I just think like my dad was friends with Billy Steinberg back in the time, who was the writer for Madonna. And I remember him sending, I recorded like three of these songs. Like one was called Alien Nympho. Like I recorded these songs and he sent them off to Madonna's songwriter. And I'm like, what? And I got a letter back that basically just said, keep trying.
which
yeah,
is exactly what he needed to do. I
Exactly
read
what
those
it
yeah.
should
lyrics.
be.
Stick with it.
God, I just yeah,
But hey,
those
I mean,
notebooks are gold.
You were
it's
amazing.
called it's growing pains, you know.
Yes, it is.
That's all of whenever I hear the stuff from our, recordings in, yeah, middle school.
Oh
I
man.
All I hear is growing pains. Thank God I didn't start singing till I was like
Oh,
17, but
I
I
I put out on streaming services my first like call it official release from like age 15
Is that Matchbox
is
Men?
no, that's the
Oh,
Jealous Rage stuff is sitting out there, and it's I mean it's exactly what it should be. It is 1996. It is fresh off listening to some
yeah,
Nirvana, somewhere mixed with some REM, and here we go. Like,
yeah.
but.
No shame in that.
No, it was fun stuff. It was
I love it,
it
dude.
was, choosing that I was going to sing because I was the least worst singer in the room. And I kind of wrote down some lyrics.
Hey
So,
man, Do the evolution.
Right. There you go. All right, man. On that, we'll wrap things up for the night. Thank
Good
you
to see you
so
back.
much for chat. We will definitely
Yeah,
talk
thank y'all
soon.
so much for having me. This was great. Thank
This
y'all.
was wonderful. Thank you. Thanks for listening and following along. We'll be back soon with more stories and songs. That's Cassingles. That's Cassingles. Yeah, that's Cassingles.